also calling this team probably the most talented and most experienced team he's clearly had. I think that goes without saying on paper. And the coach is about to join us here in a second. The Red Storm with Big East Media Day just around the corner. We'll see where they will be picked from the league's coaches. Well, Coach, first of all, I think that the biggest word that we've heard this preseason is experience that you have. What, in your time as a coach and as a player, what does this level of experience, do you think, what difference does it make that you've already seen even in preseason in terms of the approach to a season?
Well, just every day it becomes much easier to conduct a practice, communication-wise. They understand drills we're doing and terminology, so as opposed to taking 2 and 3 hours just to explain, getting really through a whole, a simple day of practice, it's the way it's supposed to be. Guys understand what they're doing. If the younger guys can get behind the more experienced guy and just follow the guy in front of you. So that takes time. In the NBA, you could wave people and make trades. In college, you have to sit in it and take your time and build it a little bit more slowly. We feel like we've done it the right way, and feel like this should be a good season.
How would you describe the practices so far, Coach, in terms of the competition, having more players, having more matchup situations, guys going at it, and how does that help your team?
Well, first, Tariq, we have depth, we have bodies. So if we had 1 or 2 guys out last year, we'd have to cancel practice.
Yeah.
So,
literally.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
So the availability of bodies is a big plus. Now add talent to that, and now you're talking about having a very competitive atmosphere, good practices, where players are making each other better with healthy competition. You can learn from each other that way, and so I think it's just, again, it takes time to get there, and so this is the first year we've had that kind of culture and atmosphere in our gym, so I think it'll pay dividends.
Coach, Mustapha Heron, of course, the news becoming official in the last several days. To what extent does his experience change your team, and how drastically does his presence change this team?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, his talent, his ability to score, his strength. He's a good one-on-one player. He can play catch and shoot. We can put him in the post. There's a lot of things he can do, play in transition. Defensively, I think he's strong enough to play post players. We can play him on the perimeter. So first and foremost, his talent. And then there's no substitute for experience. That's in life, right? So all the big game experience he's had. He's played on really good teams at Auburn. You can't teach that. You can't coach that. So we have now 4 guys that have really played a lot of big minutes and big games on big stages. So talent, experience means everything. It usually makes, obviously, the teams better, makes everything look better, and it usually leads to more wins.
How about Shamorie and his growth coming back for his junior year? He flirted with the NBA, comes back for his third year. He's kind of a quiet player, but his impact is felt in different ways. He's the leader of this team. What are you seeing from him, or are you seeing something different from him this year as a leader?
Yeah, I think Tariq, what we'll see this year, I think we'll see his overall playmaking be more effective. I think just overall a more efficient player. I don't think he'll feel the need to, carry the scoring burden as much as he did last year, and that was just out of necessity. I think we'll be able to get him a little more rest and keep him fresh. We'll, have to overplay him as much. We overplayed a lot of guys' minutes out of necessity. So I think with keeping him fresh and with added talent around him, I think you'll see a much better balanced Shamorie Ponds. I think you'll see his percentages and things like that offensively go up. I think you'll see his defense even be more effective. I think he's a great off-ball defender. We can get him, I think, playing the ball a little bit better, with being fresh. A lot of those things are mental and physical fatigue things. So if you're fresh mentally and physically, I think a lot of those things, the attention to detail will be much better for Shamorie.
Coach, you're now armed with a full complement of all 13 scholarships fulfilled. You have 12 active bodies this season. Do you have to send a message to the team, or have you already seen the difference where not everybody's going to play the same kind of minutes they did last year, and the rotation may not even look exactly the same from game to game, which usually creates a very healthy intra-squad competition? Have you already seen that come to the surface yet? And how about managing all of that where you have 12 players at your disposal now?
Yeah, well, a lot of that sorts itself out in practice. You know, guys separate themselves and in a certain way create their own roles, right? So we have an idea of how we want to play and what we want players to do, but if they show they can do more, we let them do more. If they can't handle that role that we feel is that we felt was for them, then we have to make adjustments. So it's a long season. You know, there's always different things that pop up during the season. So you know, the message really is each and every day it gets sent. You know, and how you perform each day in practice. We film every practice, we watch every practice afterwards, and we let them know how they're doing. So there's really no surprises. But I do think when you have a talented, experienced roster, those guys usually rise to the top, and the younger guys follow suit and learn from them.
Coach, talk about your style of play. You know, you're big on pace, and you obviously want to push tempo. When you have this kind of depth, do you see yourself speeding it up even more than last year, or is that going to be kind of a growing process as the season goes on?
Yeah, I think it's really important, especially on the defensive end. We really dictate tempo, get in the backcourt and pressure the ball. You know, really just be active, try and create offense with our defense.
Yeah.
You know, the more offensive weapons you have, the more you have to get guys involved, and that's a good way to do it. You know, we'll do some trapping and some pressing and things like that, but really just being really, really aggressive defensively. I think it's important. We got some nice length, some athleticism and depth, which is key. And then offensively, you know, the biggest thing on the offensive is share the ball, get that ball moving, get their bodies moving, set good screens. You know, my biggest message to guys who, you know, we got some big-time scorers.
Yeah. It's a good problem.
They gotta be. Well, yeah, it is. But you gotta be really conscious of what you do when you don't have the ball.
Yeah.
There's still one basketball. They haven't changed that rule. So you gotta be a weapon without the ball.
Yeah.
And we got some guys that got good IQ and understand that, and I think that's going to be the key for us offensively.
Coach, one surprise player that it seems like, tell me if I'm right, LJ Figueroa. Can you let our viewers give us a sense of what kind of player he is, because a lot of people have not seen him play yet?
Yeah, LJ's got tremendous energy, right? So he's really athletic. He loves to play in the open floor. I think defensively he gets after it. He's got nice length. He'll get deflections. Really good offensive rebounder. He hasn't played in over a year, so that shows when he gets on the court. He's just so happy to be back playing. And I think he's fit in really well. He's one of those guys that you don't have to really tell him what to do. He's got a nice instinct, a nice feel for the game. So he's going to be a nice addition for us for sure.
Coach, from a team perspective, you touched on the defense. Rebounding, as coaches will talk about, it's an attitude, it's a philosophy. You go from a great shot blocker in Tariq Owens in the 5 to C.D. Keita. What kind of impact, or how can C.D. Keita perhaps change this team's rebounding? You were -8 on the glass last year in Big East play. Perhaps also the depth of the team. How do you change that statistic that is so paramount to translate to wins?
Yeah, rebounding, much like defense, a big part of it is mindset, but it's also a big part of his physical, whether it be strength and length. So I think with CD, he's got strength. He's a tremendous athlete, and I think he takes pride in taking care of his paint. You know, that's where he's going to be. He's a good rebounder. I think he's physical. He holds his ground. You know, so he's a much stronger player than we had in the past in that position. But as important is our perimeter players. You know, one guy's not going to get all the balls. Sometimes he has to box out. Someone has to come get that ball. And I think the added depth on the perimeter will help us. You know, Shamorie and Justin are our 2 top rebounders. You had Mustapha, LJ. Those guys are good rebounders. So I think when we go small, we can actually be really effective. Because, you know, we were a very good defensive team last year. we got teams to miss. We didn't rebound the basketball. So if we can maintain that type of defensive presence and then rebound the ball, there goes another opportunity to play in the open floor and get, you know, more possessions and get guys good looks without having to go in the half court.
What about the league? I mean, you said you're only focused on yourself, and I get that, but obviously you're aware of the other competition you're going to have to play against. Do you have any expectations in terms of how you want to finish this year in terms of conference play?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm aware. All the Big East team, the Big East is always going to be tough. So, you know, some of these guys over here talking about it's down and all that, you know, whatever. I'm aware of who our teams are.
Right. Right.
I'm not aware that they're down.
Right.
And if they are, that's their opinion, not my opinion. So,
right.
But we got you know, a few months before we get to conference play. Of course, we're aware of who's there.
Sure.
You know, but it's also time to prepare to get there. And it's really not anything new. I never, ever was a player, high school, college, and I never listened to prediction because they don't really mean a whole lot because
me neither.
Well, tonight someone could get hurt or you know, there's so many things that go into it. So, you know, of course we have a long-term vision. We want to win every game, of course, you know, and that sounds good and rah-rah. But to me, you know, and that is our goal, right? But I always focus on how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And that's why I get back to the daily habits. That's, you know, you got to put a bunch of good days together. You just don't get it because you say it or you write it or you talk about it. You know, you got to go out there and live it.
Coach, you certainly showed that rankings don't mean anything back in February. Number 4 Duke, at number 1 Villanova. We're looking forward to it. You're just 3 weeks away from year 4. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Appreciate it, Chris.
Chris Mullin, the Hall of Famer here at St. John's Basketball Media Day. Thoughts with him, Tariq, as we're standing by to hear from St. John's women's basketball coach Joe Tarnamella.